Ladies and gents, hello and welcome. In today's video, we're going to be reviewing the 2018 iPad Pro 11-inch. We're going to find out if this is a good value here in 2024, 6 years after this release. Down at the bottom, we have two speakers flanking our USB-C port. On the right side, we do have the volume controls. On the top, we've got our power button, two more speakers, and two microphones there in the middle. The left side of the device is pretty bare except for a single microphone. Flipping around to the back, you can see we've got that Apple logo in the middle. Up here in the top, we've got our single 8-megapixel lens, flash, and a microphone. Down here at the back, we've got our smart connector for the Apple smart keyboards. Now, on the right side, you'll see this little rectangle. That is where the Apple Pencil magnetically attaches. This is the second-gen Apple Pencil. I don't know if the USB-C pencil works or not. And of course, down at the bottom, there is our USB-C port. This is the first iOS device to feature a USB-C port. We do have those quad microphones, which sound amazing even for a device this size. Now, we've got our 11-inch display, which is the star of the show. It is a ProMotion 120 Hz panel with a great resolution. Looks fantastic, and you really can't get close enough to see the individual pixels. Now, heading into settings, general and about, you can see this is the 11-inch iPad Pro. We're running iPadOS 17.3.1. This is the base configuration, 64 gigabyte, which I really don't recommend unless you're just not going to be using this iPad for much. One of the strong suits of this iPad is going to be taking notes. That's what I use this for. This was my main iPad throughout college, and I used my Apple Pencil here. Had both of these since launch, and they have held up really well. I'm a big fan of Notability, and I think it's fairly easy to use. And the Apple Pencil 2nd Gen has been a star of the show in terms of taking notes and doing annotations on top of documents. Super easy to use, and this is a great iPad if you are a student looking to take notes or if your work involves a lot of writing. This is a great option for you. Having that Apple Pencil really expands the capabilities of this device and allows it to be a very productive tool for school or work. Of course, our Apple Pencil snaps right on there on the top. Usually I keep it flipped this way so that pencil is on the top. Now I'm going to open Geekbench 6 and we can talk specs on this iPad. This does have the A12X Bionic chip. That is running just shy of 2.5 gigahertz. And this has 4 gigabytes of memory. Now, I ran some CPU and GPU benchmarks, and we have some values here. I'll pick the highest one I ever scored. Single core coming in at 1346, multi-core at 4775. Now, I'm going to go ahead and compare that to the M2 iPad Pro 11-inch, which is the same size, but obviously has a much newer processor. And then here, we've got the graphics for that, which I don't have a benchmark for, so I'm going to go ahead and run that. Once that finishes, we'll pick back up. All right, so our GPU benchmark has finished here, our score of 17,322. I'll go ahead and throw up the M1 and the M2 iPad scores next to there so you can see. And one of the other things I love about this device is just how fluid that ProMotion display is. If it looks smooth on here, it's twice as smooth in person because I'm recording this at 60 frames per second and that display is 120. So now I want to show you guys Apple's website here. So I'm going to head into the refurbished store. You can find that down here at the bottom. We're going to take a look at what iPads they have to offer because this specific model is not sold anymore. But I want to draw your attention to that 2nd Gen 11-inch iPad Pro. It's essentially the same thing, but it's really pricey. I don't recommend that. Please go for the 3rd Gen or the 4th Gen if you're considering buying from the Apple refurbished website. Don't get the 2nd Gen. Now, I actually just sold this iPad, and I'm going to put the price up there on the top. That's going to be how much the buyer paid for it, not how much I made. So if you're looking to buy one of these, that value there will give you a reference for how much a base configuration 64 gig Wi-Fi only iPad Pro 11-inch is going to cost you. Let's talk about the camera. This is a 12 megapixel lens, and you can see there we've got 4K 60. So you can record really nice videos with this device. It's the same resolution that I'm recording this current video in, and I'm going to go ahead and switch to that camera there. Here is the audio and video on the iPad Pro 2018 11-inch. If we get up close there, it does focus pretty well. We've got a stack of devices over there, and we have a DJI little GoPro action camera, kind of a contrast here with the black of the camera. And if we switch to something bright like that lamp, you can kind of see that. So the camera's decent. There's no optical image stabilization, which is something I wish it had. So if you shake it, it is pretty wobbly, but not a bad camera for an iPad. So we'll switch back here. And now we're switched back here to that iPhone 13, which records most of my videos. We do have the option for slow motion. We've got time lapse on here. Of course, we've got that 4K 60 video, and you can take photos. You can also do portrait photos, but it's only going to use that front FaceTime camera. Of course, this is the first iPad to feature Face ID, which is actually really nice. I prefer Face ID over Touch ID, especially on an iPad. You can see how thin those bezels are. It's a very nice device to hold, and I think it stacks up pretty well for its price today here in 2024. Again, you really can't beat that ProMotion 120 Hertz display. That is really fantastic. Taking notes on this thing is awesome. Using it for email, web browsing is fantastic as well. Of course, that 64 gigabyte storage, if you're going for the base configuration, I really don't think is going to be enough. Now, battery life on this thing is average. That's probably one of my only complaints for this device, is that the battery really doesn't last all day if you're using it for notes. So having a lot of screen on time is really going to drain that battery. So I wish Apple would spend a little more time fine-tuning that and giving us better battery life, because in reality, we don't need the Apple Silicon processors inside of this thing. They are a little bit overpowered, especially for iPad OS. So I hope you enjoyed this video. As a quick look at the first gen 11-inch iPad Pro. It does get a little confusing with the naming because this is technically a third gen iPad Pro, but it's the first gen 11-inch iPad Pro. So keep that in mind when you're searching for one of these. Hope you found the video helpful. Leave some comments or questions down below if you have any. And that's going to do it for this video. Thank you so much for watching. And as always, I look forward to seeing you in another one of my videos.